name is Abby Malone, and you're watching Invest Insights, where we introduce you to thought leaders who are shaping our communities today. In today's episode, I speak with Dr. Jaffus Hardrick, the president of Florida Memorial University, located in Miami-Dade County. Jaffus, your university is currently offering both in-person and online courses this fall semester. When we spoke to you for our annual publication, Invest Miami 2020, you discussed how the university is educating students on their responsibility as opposed to just telling them what to do. How has this method been received by students? And can you comment on how you're keeping the number of new coronavirus cases low?
Abby, thank you for that question. And of course, I think you realize, like so many of other of us in this country, we're dealing with a serious pandemic, and unfortunately, we didn't have to be here in the current state that we're in. And I think one of the things that has helped our university to experience some good success around the minimization of the novel coronavirus cases on campus is really around educating our students on their importance of adhering to the CDC guidelines as well as the university guidelines to help keep us safe. Because once they realize that this is their university and they have to stay focused on their education, and if they are being irresponsible by going to places where they could possibly be exposed, then they will in turn bring that to campus and impact other students. So rather than having some kind of dictatorial kind of hard rules type process or approach, we wanted to educate them about their responsibility. And I can say that our students have really demonstrated that level of accountability and helping to ensure that we maintain a safe campus environment.
How did the experience with the spring semester going online quite quickly inform how you are leading this fall semester?
Well, even at the height of the pandemic back in early March, April, I think all universities around the country had to make some serious decisions to really pivot. And it compelled us to make a transition from our traditional method of teaching face-to-face to an online environment. And we had to make that decision, and we made that adjustment literally within less than a week. Some of our other universities took 3-4 weeks or even closed their universities for the most part in order to readjust and recalibrate. It was not easy, but it was something that we done, and we were able to continue delivering instructions to our students, and they were able to complete the spring semester. As well as going into the summer, we were able to complete that successfully online. And now we are in the fall semester, the new academic year, and we're offering a hybrid method of online as well as face-to-face instructions. What we learned from the spring and the summer is that many of our students, it was a struggle, it was a challenge for them. One of the things, Abby, we realized was that the digital divide was extremely pronounced, and that we realized there were many of our students who did not have laptops, computers to do their work. They were having to come on campus, and we ended up working with an organization to be able to provide devices to our students so they didn't necessarily have to come on campus and they could just do everything from their homes, because many of their homes didn't even have internet. So we had to have devices that had the internet already built in to be able to help our students.
In August, FMU announced that you had hired sports marketing pioneer Dr. Mark Williams to lead the newly created STEM esports program. What has the process been like to facilitate bringing new programs to campus like this one and encouraging overall growth for the university while handling the challenges of this pandemic?
You know, I think in every crisis, there are opportunities for growth and transformation. And just because we're confronted with it doesn't mean that we stop innovating. And you have to think differently, and you have to work around some of the temporary challenges that are thrown at us. So for me, that I knew that in order to continue to move this university in the right direction, it was paramount that we add new programs that would attract today's students. And esports is one of those programs that is so connected in so many different ways to the STEM disciplines, business, the arts, you name it. It helps students in so many different ways. And Mark Williams is definitely a leader in this space, along with so many others. And Florida Memorial is one of very few, I want to say it's probably about 3 or 4 other HBCUs, historical Black universities, college and universities with esports. And I wanted to bring someone here who would be able to help us to implement a program that others could emulate as well. This is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And our students need to get into this space because there are significant careers and job opportunities for many of these students in the esports industry. So yes, it was, Mark and I had this conversation prior to the pandemic, but we had to make the decision to continue to move forward. Not only did we bring esports, but we started football as well. I started band at the university, as well as other athletic programs, new academic programs. So I couldn't wait to roll out these things. We had to do it immediately.
This year has been a historic year in one's regards to social justice protests and initiatives aimed at solving some of the nation's inequality and systematic racial issues.
Right.
As one of the only historically Black colleges in South Florida, how is the university supporting this cause, and what initiatives is the school currently spearheading to continue combating inequality in and outside of higher education?
Just like we're dealing with a health pandemic, we're also dealing with a racial pandemic in our country. And this is a pandemic that's been with us for, again, the inception of our great country. And unfortunately, we've been put in a situation where you see so much of what's happening now is still just the tip of the iceberg. But it all comes back because there is such systemic injustice, racism that has subjugated people for hundreds of years in this country, and particularly, again, Black Americans. And it also impacts others as well in our community, not only just Black, but even Caucasians, because the system that has been set up, it's been designed for the privileged few. And there have been many others who have left out. But when you think about some of the issues around the police brutality, again, the economic injustice that we see, the educational injustice, the healthcare injustice, this is just really, again, the bigger problem we're dealing with in our country. At Florida Memorial, we just launched the Florida Memorial Social Justice Institute to really hone in and to draw and to galvanize people around the bigger issues here. That we have a responsibility to eradicate these injustices that continue to keep people down as a nation. There is something wrong with, again, when you are charging a higher interest rate to be able to live and to buy a home in one community versus another. Many of our students, and particularly all around the country, you've seen some of the injustices, even student loans just for Black students and students who attended HBCUs. They are being charged a much higher interest rate than those who attend other universities. And I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on. And then with what we're seeing with the just taking of innocent lives at the hands of our police, and we think that's okay in this country, and then we want to justify, we have an administration that seems to justify that kind of mentality, it really does say something to us, and the moral decay of our just decency in this country and our overall democracy in our country. We're better than this, and it is imperative that we start acting better than this and realize there is enough room for all of us to benefit and to make a stronger America.
Considering Miami's diverse background and makeup, and how Miami has been formed as a city, and considering it's inside the state of Florida, which is incredibly different than the makeup of Miami-Dade, do you believe that we have the opportunity to possibly be a model for the rest of the United States? Where's Miami-Dade at right now?
I really do, Abby, and that's the thing about it. But there's always something about those who develop the mindset, and you start creating these classes, and you start dividing groups based on ethnicity, based on wealth, and what have you, rather than just helping to build a strong infrastructure that is going to build economic success and opportunity for everyone. Because all of us have contributed to the building of this great country. I mean, in fact, when you think about the country was built on the back of slaves in this country. So, and the same right here in Miami. I think we spend too much time dividing rather than working together. And we can definitely be a model for the rest of the world if we would just learn to get it right and stop denigrating each other, separating each other based on the complexion of skin, because no matter what, when you cut me, my blood is red, yours is red. Again, there are cultural nuances, yes, that certainly separate us, but I think oftentimes we focus on the few differences rather than the greater commonalities that we have. And so we as a people, we have to learn how to stop pulling each other apart in order to try to always get ahead. There is a great author, Paulo Fierro, who wrote a book called Pedagogy of the Oppressed. And he says, one of the ways that you really begin to realize in a nation when they start eroding is when the oppressed then in turn become the oppressors. Just because you get ahead, all of a sudden now you want to subjugate and subject everyone else because you don't want them rising above you. And that's the kind of mentality that has divided us as a country, and in fact in the world. But right here in Miami, we can do better. We should do better, and we should learn to support each other because there is enough space, enough money for everybody to be able to benefit.
2020 has been an incredibly challenging year and has presented so many more challenges than I think many executives were ever considering. And now here we are handling them. And so as I have these discussions with the executives I'm interviewing, I always like to ask, what have the last number of months taught you about resilience?
It really taught me that sometimes you have to evaluate, and it's the evolution of life. Sometimes there are going to just be crises and situations that will cause all of us to look introspectively and cause our nation and wherever we are to pivot and to adjust. And I think it's the people who have the agility and who are nimble enough to be able to realize the crisis we face and to be able to see the opportunities in every crisis to make ourselves better and to help make others better. So for me, it's about always evaluating where I am to make sure that I never get comfortable. And that's something we should never do as a people, is just become so complacent and so comfortable that we have to always be innovating, because if you're not innovating, you're dying and you're not really optimizing who you are nor anyone else. So for me, the key is about focus. And that's the thing that I always try to stress to our students, because many during these times, they just want to quit school and they want to work because of the economic situation, I try to inculcate in them the importance of staying focused on your education. And we're doing everything possible to help our students cross the finish line, because you know as well as I do, education is a great equalizer, and it is a economic transformation. It makes a big difference in your families economically, not only for you, but for many others for years to come. And so it's easy to just stop out, but it's more important to stay focused and realize you have a support system here to help you complete. So that's what it's done for me, is always causing me to look introspectively and to evaluate who I am as a person to make sure that I'm constantly growing.
Well, thank you again. That was Dr. Jaffus Hardrick, the president of Florida Memorial University. My name is Abby Malone, and you've been watching Invest Insights. Thanks for tuning in.
Hey everyone, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel so that you can stay up to date on the latest business trends from our knowledgeable experts. Be sure to check out the description below for more information on the segment you just watched. Thanks for tuning in.